So, a lot of Westerners see many African people siding with Russia and think that Africans have been propagandized to think that evil Russia is good. But in reality, it is you, Westerner, who has been propagandized to think the West is good and Russia is evil. Because for at least the past 300 years, the big bad guy in Africa has not been Russia, it's been Western Europe and America. I mean, Russia didn't murder and enslave millions of Africans. Western Europe did that. Russia didn't colonize Africa and wipe out and erase thousands of years of culture and heritage and send its people into slave labor camps. The West did that. Russia didn't build roads only from the mines to the ports to facilitate the mass pulverization, ravaging and stripping of Africa's natural resources. The West did that. But do you know what Russia did do? After 1945, when all the colonized people in Africa began to rise up against the British, French, Portuguese, American and Belgian oppressors, do you know who was there giving the freedom fighters guns, ammo, supplies, medical care and training? Russia was. When the ANC began to fight back against the Western-funded apartheid in South Africa, do you know who was there supporting the fight for freedom? Russia was. There is a reason that to this day the flag of Mozambique still has an AK-47 on it. It's because the tools of liberation from the most oppressive occupation in human history came from Russia. So the reason so many African people will laugh in your face, Westerner, when you tell them Russia is evil is because you are the one who is propagandized and has fully consumed fantastical history where the West is somehow the good guy. The reality is, the West has always been the villain in Africa. It is still the villain in Africa, as the West to this day continue to fund violence across African nations and assassinate African leaders, so Western corporations can still steal all of Africa's resources under the cover of mass violence and manufactured instability. So yes, even though the Soviet Union is long gone and the Russia of today is a very, very different place, many Africans will never forget that the only European country that ever showed up for African liberation is Russia, and no amount of Western propaganda will ever erase that fact. Because the only people who believe the West did anything good in Africa are brainwashed Westerners. Anyway, something to think about.
We are with President Putin, and we want to say to President...
It is really going down right now, y'all. And particularly, it is going down in a major way, and the American media is not reporting on it. By it, I mean the new geopolitical relationships that are happening with Africa right now, particularly the BRICS nations, which stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Right there, what you see is Julius Malema of the Economic Freedom Fighters, a political party in South Africa, talking about his solidarity with Putin. The reason why this is important is because in Africa, a lot of the natural resources like uranium, cobalt, lithium, iron, a lot of natural resources that we need all over the world are located in Africa. Things that power the tech industry here in the United States that we depend on, quote unquote, third world countries to provide us with the raw materials for. The United States is currently at odds with Russia, and if Russia is able to have good relationships with the people with the countries that we need their natural resources from, then that means that there's a stronghold on many of the industries in the United States. So if Intel can't get their silicon, or can't get their coltan, or can't get their lithium, or our defense contractors can't get their uranium or plutonium, then that puts us at a significant disadvantage, both from a national security standpoint and economic standpoint. But the mainstream media isn't reporting on this because they don't want to send the world into a panic. Because if you knew what was headed down the pipe, then you would be very scared right now. You would know that prices for your electronics are getting ready to go up, prices for food is getting ready to go up, prices for all consumer products are getting ready to go up. Russia is making some real power moves by building relationships. And the thing is we really shouldn't be worried too much about Russia. It's China. However, Russia can provide a lot of the infrastructure and provide a lot of the grain and basic human needs for the people of Africa.
So, France, let me ask you something. What was the plan? Where did you think this plan was going? You built your economy off of uranium you didn't mine. You built your economy over lights you didn't pay for. And you built your economy off of power from a land whose people still live in the dark. You flew first class off the fuel that never touched your soil, and you called that a partnership? Now look at you. Your lights are flickering, your industry is choking, your arrogance is gasping for air. And why? Because Niger said no, because Burkina Faso said not anymore, and because Mali looked you in the eye and said, you're not welcome here. See, you're not losing because of bad luck. You're losing because the abused wife stopped cooking for you. You're losing because she stopped cleaning. You're losing because she stopped pretending. She realized she was the source of your strength. Now, this is bigger than Paris. This is about a global reckoning. The West is learning what it means to run out of stolen things. To all the Western nations that built their empires off of unpaid labor and unpaid bills, I have one question for you. What was your long-term plan? What was the plan? Did you think Africa was going to let you plunder forever? Did you think Africa was never going to wake up? Did you think Africa was never going to fight back? Did you think we'd never realize we were the ones holding up your entire global illusion? We were the wife in the abusive relationship. We were cooking your meals, we were raising your kids, and we were funding your dreams. And all you ever gave us was debt, chaos, poverty, sanctions, and shiny buildings in Dubai that we couldn't enter. Until one day, the eldest son, with shoulders wide and heart heavy, looked at you and said, you touch her again, I dare you. And that's Niger, that's Mali, that's Burkina Faso. That's the sound of a continent finally raising its voice. Let me say this clearly. Capitalism is not our savior. It was never built for us. It was built on top of us. And yes, it worked for you for a while, but your greed didn't know when to stop. You took too much for too long with too little respect, and now your lights are dimming. Let that be your lesson, and let it be our warning as Africans. Africa, we must not repeat their mistake. This is not the time to just nationalize. This is a time to reimagine everything.
Do you know today that France doesn't believe that it was kicked out of Africa because of its bad handling? They don't believe that they are kicked out of Africa because Africans were tired of them, and the way they were trying to handle things, and the way they are treating their people, the African people, the way they have been used to loot and steal everything from Africans. But today, when you ask them, they know that the main problem and a threat toward them is Russia and China. So because Russia and Africa started to build a new relationship, because Russia and China started to install new things in Africa in a way of diplomatic relationship, that's when Africa started to turn against Westerners and started to head east so that they can build a new relationship with China and Russia, because Russia and China never showed any interest of coming to colonize Africa. Russia and China or the East never showed any interest of coming and take African resources, but they were just there doing their own things, concentrating with their own issues, while they are only coming to Africa to do business, to install their businesses, but not to install their military bases. When the Westerners were busy fighting on how to install more military bases, the China and Russia were busy fighting on how to establish their businesses and how to strengthen the diplomatic relationship so that they can continue trading and benefiting from one another, but not benefiting from one point, from one position. Now, today the war is between Russia, China, France, and America, because they believe that they cannot allow Russia and China to influence Africa, to take over Africa. Because once they do this, then it means that the Westerners have lost their dominance here completely. When Russia and China come and they invest or capture Africa, as how it is happening, then automatically Westerners will lose everything, and that is not the thing. That's something that they cannot allow. So today, Africa is like a battlefield where other people are coming to fight on how and who to take over Africa, because it is believed that once you want to become a superpower, you must control the resources of the world. And because they are looking towards Africa and feel like Africa doesn't have any person to fight and maybe control the resources, that's why they feel like they're the people who are supposed or who are able to come and control the resources of Africa, because they feel like Africans are not people, are not human beings who are capable of or able to control their own things, their own richness.
It is time that our continent realized that it has the possibility of being an extremely powerful part of the world. And we need to be far more in control of our own capabilities, our resources, and we should manage them to the interest of the African continent, and not have this notion that we owe someone something, because that's the neo-colonial ideal. So I think we need to begin to understand our own power and to use it to good effect for Africa.
Now, today, we've seen an example of Russia to Burkina Faso. When the Russia had its greatest military parade, the only leader who was invited from Africa was Captain Ibrahim Traore. Why Traore? Because Russia tried to check out and try to see which leader is now trying to do something which it is rhyming with the Russia's in vision, because Russia's vision was to strengthen Africa. Russia's vision was to fight and protect Africa, because Russia and Africa is like they went through the same process of colonization. They went all through the system of operation. So whenever Russia is there as the strongest country today, they don't want to see Africa as a partner being oppressed, being humiliated, being looted, when they're just looking at it, when they're just watching everything. So that's why the Russia today are there and they are ready to do anything to protect Africa not to be taken and to be taken back to slavery, to colonization.
Africa seems to be a geographically quite remote continent, but a continent close to us by its spirit, because Africa is home to very courageous, freedom-loving countries that value their sovereignty and, relying on it, make, and we are sure, will make other decisions in the interests of their peoples and their countries. And in this sense, Africa is a reliable partner.
So, today, Russia and China Russia and West will never get the best relationship. Why? Because today, Europe and America is feeling like Russia is coming to overturn them, is coming to betray them, because they believe that they are the one who believed to be in Africa, but not any other people, not any other person, but only them. Now, when Russia invited Ibrahim Traore, they don't give him loans. They never gave him aids. They never promised him a lot of things. But they promised him on how to build to strengthen his country, on how to be able to build up our nuclear weapons. Because when Africa is able to acquire the nuclear weapons, then all this jealousy, all this war, all these threats will not be there. It won't be there, because we are being threatened, we are being humiliated, we are being mistreated, because we don't have something to defend us. We don't have something to stand for us, to fight for us. They have every type of weapon. They know that Africa is not able to go and fight against them. They can. Africa can't stand in front of America and France to fight because we don't have anything to represent us while they have everything. So today the war is like they don't accept that they are the reason and the problem, that the reason of their problems today. They cannot agree that they are the one who caused all this to happen. Africa was quiet, silent over everything that was happening, maybe feeling like maybe these people will come and change their behavior. But as time goes by, that's when things continue to worsen. As time moves by, that's when things continue to be worsen and to be bad. Terrorism rate was high, poverty, and many, many more things, whereby Africa will have not been able to help itself, because of the people who are influenced here are not the people who had the best intention, but they are the people who are only in need of the African resources. They are ready and they are only able to fund terrorism, to cause chaos, to support war in Africa, so that Africa keep on fighting, not being able to think on how to develop, how to use their own resources, how to trade, how to do anything, but just fighting, killing each other, so that they can have the reason and the best time to come and access to African richness. But Russia and China said, no, we have to help these people. So today, Europe and America, they don't know that they are the reason of everything that is consuming them today. They don't know that. And you can't tell them that and agree. Because if they would have treated African countries well, despite the colonization and slavery, the Africans are very good in forgetting. Africa would have forgotten everything that the West did towards African continent since the time of slavery. But because they are so greedy, they want to take the entire continent and make it theirs. That's why today they're feeling all this today. And now, Africa, despite being helped by Russia and China, Africa today is strong enough to fight for itself. Because today we are watching the youths of Africa coming out with different invention, coming out to resist from white policies, coming out to expel even their own leaders, to turn them down, destroy them. Because if you are not here only for the interests of the Africans, then you cannot survive. The Africans are not ready to give you time. They're not ready. It's either you do good, you deliver to them, or you just keep away, get out. That's the only thing that today is needed here in Africa. We know, and we came to know that power does not given out. Freedom don't just be given out, but you have to fight for it. You have to take it. And we have some leaders who have tried to show us that power and freedom don't just come. You have to fight for it. You have to sacrifice your life. You have to reclaim and demand it. And that is what Africa is doing today. That's what African youths are doing today. So whenever you see these Africans today are going on the street, maybe some of them being killed there with the bullets, some of them being... It is a process to liberation. It is a way to revolution. Because if we all sit behind because we fear to die, we fear to be arrested, then nothing is going to change. But everything is going to continue to happen as how it used to. We will sit back at our homes and still will be killed. Because whenever they will be coming to take our land, when you resist, they will kill you. Whenever they come to take your animals, when you resist, they will kill you. Whenever they come to take the diamonds that is in your land and you refuse, they will destroy you. So it's better we defend ourselves before it's too late. That's the time. This is the time. And no any other time. So today, China and Africa is making the new friendship, the new diplomatic way, and Africa has turned against the West, and now it's heading to the East, because East, we have seen future in East. We have seen future in East, but not West. The Russia and China never killed Africans. They never committed atrocities and genocide here. But the West have killed millions of people. Millions. Millions. Just tell me out of the comment section if you really understand what we are really speaking about. And I'm talking the black people reaching from Africa across the oceans, in diaspora, in Caribbean. We need to unite so as to make this thing clear and easy. We must unite. Through unity, all is possible. And be blessed, ranging from. Consider subscribing and coming back once more. And let's meet on the next episode, and let's speak on the comment section.